what's up, fam? And welcome to episode 6.
Número 6. Bienvenidos a
Episode
todos.
6. We hope that everyone had an amazing week. We know that a lot of our community is currently in a place. You know what? A lot of our community, as well as a lot of churches around the country, maybe all over, are fasting. There's a lot of corporate fasting going on in January. So we pray that that everyone's fast is going amazing. But I know that last week when we talked about how we keep this fire going in our marriage, the last thing that we talked about was prayer and taking the next 7 days, whether it was in the morning, whether you get together in the morning time or whether you end your evening in prayer, but that you do it consistently for those 7 days. And so we pray that there was some breakthrough during that time of prayer.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so today we're going to talk about 3 things. 3 things on how to keep that fire burning and growing in your marriage. And so some will be some fun topics and some will be some topics that we might touch in or dig into a little bit more, but let's go with the fun one first, huh?
What's the fun one?
The fun one is, and this should be a given, and I think we've talked about this on past podcasts, but date on purpose. What does that mean to you? If you hear that, date on purpose.
Well, I think just like anything, you set up the date, right? You put the date on the calendar. You make the reservations. I remember back in the day, I mean, there would be a whole day of shopping and going to the hair spot, even though I have no hair now. But I got my beard lined up, so go get my beard lined up and yeah, just be intentional about being prepared and at your best for your spouse.
So when you get couples that are like, well, we have the kids and we have like really weird work hours, like how do you speak to that?
Well, I don't have that problem, so I haven't had to speak to it for a long time.
Well,
But
not you, but I'm saying if somebody you're talking to gives you that excuse, like if you're asking them, hey, like when's the last time you dated your wife? And they're like, it's been a minute,
yeah,
with work and
yeah. And you make again, if you're intentional and you schedule it a week in advance, at least a week in advance, then you get babysitters. You get somebody to fill in the gap and come to the house. Especially if you're a believer, you have believer friends and family members that are going to certainly step into the gap. Especially if you make it clear, say, "Hey, me and my wife haven't had an opportunity to go out in a while, and we want to spend some alone time together, right? So could you watch the kids for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, or have them come over and do a sleepover, right? Take the kids and have a sleepover, so then we could have the whole house to ourselves when we get done." So how would you do it? Let's say you were in charge of setting up the date night.
oh,
Yeah.
so you're not asking me the same question I just asked you. If I was like ministering to another person, you're asking me how would I set up the date?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously figure out where we're going, schedule it like it matters, right? So figure out where we're going, make sure that we have the right outfits because that's what we're all about. I don't know if we'll do our shopping trips. It's been a minute for us because we're new dog parents, so we haven't been on a date this year so far. So we got to be intentional about going on a date.
Yeah. Well, we're only 20 days in, no? 24 days in.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've been fasting. Dun,
True.
dun, dun.
We have been fasting, so that does make it a little bit harder, but that's okay. Our dates should reflect how well we know each other, right? So I think for me, especially if I'm ministering to another woman that's having the same issue where, date nights are very far and few, as a couple, we've got to just stop making the excuses because we've all when we first get together, we make it a what is that word I'm looking for? We make it a priority
Mhm.
to do all the things together so that we can get to know each other and have fun and go out and this, that, and the other. And this is again where we talked about last week, where life kind of gets at you and we start taking each other for granted. And so, being intentional with the time that you have, if you know that your work schedules are challenging, well, then you got to get that calendar out. I know we've talked about that on past podcasts as well, is that, we got to start scheduling some things and not just, when you have time, but being very, very purposeful. So, in other words, if you have Thursday completely open, we know that on that Thursday, nothing else comes in the way. There is no meetings, there is no, phone calls, there is none of that. That day is going to be designated for our date night to be able to get together, reconnect, you know, and just just reignite things.
Especially now you have Valentine's Day right around the corner. And
Mhm.
let's call it what it is. We're still in January, at least when we recorded this podcast, but February 14th is the same every year, right?
Mhm.
So you should be working on that right now. And I would encourage the men to really this year, since you have some time still, just go all out, right? Make it fun. How about if you send some flowers to if your wife is at work, if she works in an office or whatever, send some flowers with tickets to, I don't know, a concert or a movie or whatever it is, and just completely surprise her. Then you got to make sure that all of the no boys to men.
No.
And so don't even they're sold out already anyways. But yeah, be intentional. You have time. Hopefully this gets to you before February 14th, but even if it doesn't, if you're a man after God's own heart, and you believe in Ephesians 5:25, please make sure that you're being Jesus first, and you're scheduling this thing, and you're setting up some good times. Now we do have an event for you.
We sure do. February 14th at 6 p.m., we are going to have a Valentine's Day karaoke night.
Come
Dun,
on.
dun, dun. So, and it will be at our Southwest campus, 5300 South Maplewood Avenue. And so come through. Like we're pretty excited about it. I think we got pleasantly surprised. I think we were pleasantly surprised when we went on our couples cruise and we witnessed so many couples that had a blast doing karaoke every night. So I
Yeah.
thought, wow, if couples really enjoy doing karaoke like this, like let's do this for our Valentine's Day event. And so February 14th at the Southwest campus, we will be having a karaoke night. Come and join us. It's going to be really, really fun. Did you pick out your song yet?
I was gonna do our song, but that song is so difficult.
Why?
I don't know. It's just because he just flows. Woke up this morning, looked at your picture just to get me started, and I don't have his voice, so I don't know.
No.
I haven't picked out a song just yet. All right, you know what? I might just run the karaoke machine. I don't need to sing. I don't need to sing. My soul sings already.
Oh my
Anyways,
gosh.
and so again, since we're talking about intentionality and we're talking about making sure that the spark is sustained, we have to choose a chemistry versus commitment. Sometimes we do things in just a rut just because we feel like we need to do it, and sometimes it's good to change it up. You know what I mean? And really, make sure that we're sparking a fire. Um, and so because chemistry can fade away if it's not cultivated, right? We
Mhm.
have to make sure that we our marriage feels like it's organic but intentional.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that both of those things seem to be contrary to each other, but they're not. If you truly are connected with your heavenly Father, right, and you are being Jesus first, you can cultivate an amazing relationship with your wife, regardless on the finances, regardless on the circumstances at home, regardless on if you have five kids or one kid or no kids at all. you can find a way to really keep the fire going.
It's good. Yeah. Um, the difference between attraction and intentional love. So when you talk about chemistry versus commitment, what do you have to say about there's this note here that says how culture sells feelings but marriage requires faithfulness. What does that mean to you?
Why do I feel like I'm on an interview? I feel like I'm on an interview. You just keep asking me questions, like you're putting me on the spot. Can you speak to that?
No, I'm asking you.
You've asked me the last three questions. I think you should take this one.
All right. Um, I think when it comes to culture, it's easy for us to talk about, well, I feel like, or I feel this, or I feel that, because that's what the world trains us to do, is speaking based off of our feelings. But when it comes to our marriage, it requires a different level of faithfulness. It requires a different level
Good.
of commitment. And I think what comes with that is really seeing your spouse as your partner, really
Yeah.
seeing your spouse as the person that you're going to be doing the rest of your life with. And if you're going to continue to listen to what the world is telling you, if you're going to continue to listen to, again, we talked about dating, but so I am a big rom-com gal, but I'm not one of those that's going to watch these rom-coms and be like, "Oh my gosh, my life is not like that." And and that then kind of boils over into my marriage. I like them, I like to watch them, and then, be done with it. I think that's where my realistic mind comes into play. But, so often we as couples tend to live in this fairy tale land, and we don't stay focused on what's important. And are you faithful to your marriage? Are you faithful to your wife when it comes to the things that you say that you're going to do? If that is not part of your repertoire, then there's going to be a recipe for disaster. You're always going to be at odds. You're always going to go based off of your feelings versus going based off of facts. And the fact is, God brought you together to become one, not to become, one with mom and dad and sister and brother and all these other people that have opinions about your relationship. You got to keep those things outside of the marriage, because at that point, where is your commitment level at? Is your commitment to your family and the people that you talk to, or is your commitment and your intimacy and your chemistry all rolled in together for your spouse? So that's, if I was to answer that question, if I was being asked that question, that is how I would answer it.
Yeah, and I think, thank you. And I think that, culture sells feelings, and rom-com sells feelings, right? Everything is warm and fluffy, but that's not what God has called us to do. He called us to be faithful to each other, right? He's called us to be faithful for each other. So the big lie that you can fall out of love means that you're I no longer love her. I no longer love him. Well, the deal is this. Love is not a feeling, love is a commitment. And if you think of, I'm sure when Jesus was going through everything that he was going through on the way to the cross, he was not feeling warm and fuzzy about us, but his love was really shown when he took all of our sins on the cross, and that was not a happy feeling. Now we're not Jesus, and so I'm not saying that we are going to have to take all of that, but we do have to realize that what Jesus was doing was fulfilling his covenant with us. And that's what marriage is. Marriage is not a contract. A contract can be voided, but a covenant cannot be voided. And so we got to make sure that when we're ministering and when we're talking to each other and when we're interacting with each other, that we realize that this thing is forever. I mean, that's not a choice. Whatever's going on, and a lot of times when I speak to my men and they come, oh, this is going on, that's going on, that's going on. And first of all, none of it is a really big deal. It's not infidelity, it's not abuse. It's all about the way they feel. Ah, she did this, or she could have done this, and instead of helping me with that, she decided to ignore me. I was like, okay, did you bring it back up and ask her if she can finish what she started, or did you follow up to make sure that she can find some time to help you with that? Like, oh, well, why should I have to do that? Well, because you need it done, right? And so let us not operate in our feelings and our emotions. We got to operate knowing that God has created you two together to be one, and at times there's dissension, but that does not define who you are. It does not define your relationship with your spouse. We really need to move away from our emotions and really just realize that this is a covenant, and no matter what, we're in it till death do us part, and then we just meet on the other side anyway. So
Yeah. All right. So let's go to point two. Um well, we kind of did talk about this, that marriages don't break, they drift.
I'm trying to figure out how that even ended up on there
I
after that
don't.
after
I'm
that book after the
And that was a
book.
joke that I said.
Yeah, yeah. We can't. I think some of these points are worth discussing, right? Emotional distance. If there's an emotional distance, and I can see how that could, if somebody were to focus in our home at some point, right? Like just recently, right? Um, you know, you and Gianna are watching your show here, and I walk in, and they say, babe's gonna want to watch the game, and I wanted to, no, that's okay. You can stay there. I'll go watch upstairs.
Mhm.
So if you from the outside looking in, there could be an emotional, right? They could think like, oh, look at these two. They're on separate pages. But once that is over, my wife doesn't sleep on the sofa. She comes upstairs to the bed, right? And if I'm still awake, I don't let her go to bed without giving me a kiss goodnight. And then she doesn't let me go to bed without showing me one or two one or two scrolls that she's identified, that she knows that I would laugh, or I would think, oh, that's cute. And so there's always got to be an emotional connection, and we always got to make sure that we are communicating, even the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that we stay away from roommate syndrome.
Yeah, we talked about roommate syndrome.
Yeah. So,
Um, and loss of affection. I mean, we talked about um we talked about the fading piece. And so
but if we remain intentional with each other, right? We remain. There's a few things that we just won't compromise, right? We won't compromise, leaving without giving you a kiss goodbye, me going to bed without giving you a kiss goodnight. Um, we touch base throughout the day. It's not, I mean, if I don't know where you're at, there's something totally wrong, right? And if you don't know where I'm at, there's something totally wrong. Oh my God, I was off the grid for what, 2 hours, and my wife and my daughter were gonna send out a search party for me. I think that was right before we went into Life 360. So now they know exactly where I'm at all the time. And so we
do you
have
remember that, Gianna?
Yes.
she's not even
I am. No, I am paying
she's-
attention. I am paying attention.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't just for 2 hours.
It could never been more than that.
It didn't matter how long it was. It was the fact that, like, I called like 5 times and there was no answer. And then mommy called and there was no answer. And then
that
mommy
never
calls
happens.
me and she was like,
I get
your
it.
dad's not.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I get it. I get it. And that never happened, so it was odd, right?
yeah.
But where was I?
The mall.
No, he was at
his
the
phone died.
No, he was at like the what is that place called? You're getting something. You're getting a hat or something.
Exactly. He was at North Riverside Mall
Oh, yeah.
getting his hat.
Yeah.
He was at Lids or
Oh,
something
yes,
like
yes,
that,
yes.
and
Yeah,
his
yeah.
phone wasn't. Anyways, we're getting off topic here.
No,
but
we're not. We're right on the topic.
how?
Because we're talking about numbness. No?
Yeah. Well, we're talking. We talked about emotional distance, communication, loss of affection, and all of that. All of that is what I would like to kind of like a slow burn, really.
Mhm.
If these are things that are not talked about, if these are things that are not being communicated, then this is going to be the end result.
Yeah.
how do you go from a place where we are, giving each other a kiss goodnight, or, whatever, to nothing at all?
Yeah.
There's got to be something deeper underneath. And that's why, and again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we've talked about this before, and those that we've sat around the table with, we've talked about this, that there is always a reason, there's always a root to the reason why we act the way that we do. And so, especially when it comes to the actions that we can take to express our love, like showing affection, or, keeping ourselves close to the ones that we love. If there's somewhere down the line where we are pulling ourselves back, then there's some underlying issues that we have to address. Again, I know that we kind of chuckled about it earlier, but when it comes to the communication piece, we have to say the hard things even in the midst of our vulnerability. Like, I can't say that it's a very easy thing for me to do, to just be outright, invulnerable. But when it comes to us, I think when it gets to a certain point where we both know that we're at a crossroads here, we have to take a minute. I think we just had a moment like a couple days ago or something where you're like, I gotta take a couple minutes, and that's okay. But then we came back and we still had to address those issues that, were happening in that moment, so that we could get our life back on track. The problem is there's a lot of couples, and maybe that's you, that this emotional distance and this, loss of affection has now start to become normal. And it's okay to be where you're at, but
It could never be okay where you're at. Yeah.
I mean, I know that that's that way for us,
Yeah.
but there are people that we know that, this is just the way that it is. He doesn't want to budge. I don't want to budge. So this is what we're doing. And what kind of life is that if we're leaning into what the enemy wants the most? And that is division within the marriage. He wants to get into the center of that and keep you both separated. So what are some of the things that we can do to close that gap from being emotionally distant, from, not communicating, to becoming roommates, to the loss of affection? What are some things that we can do?
Well, the first thing is we got to make sure that the conversations or the arguments or the discussions is not about winning the argument. It's about guarding our unity. And we have a list here of different things. The first one, I love the first one, is relearning each other. There's times where you may feel like you just need to start from scratch. Hey, if we just pick up where we left off in the middle of all this chaos and this drama, right? I think we should just, let's just take a step back and let's reevaluate why we got married in the first place, right? Because no one's like, oh, I hate you, so I'm gonna get married with you, right? That's not the way it works. It's like there's butterflies, there's there's connections, there's intimacy, and so we have got to start relearning or going back, right? Going back to where it started. Isn't that a song? Isn't that a worship song? Anyways, so we have to go back to where it all started, and we got to start learning to relearn each other and literally start dating again. I think if you're at a point where you can't seem to, it's just a giant, just pretend you don't even know each other. Because here's the deal. You said yes. You are married. You have a covenant. You can't walk away from this. This is you're at the point of no return. And so you have got to make this thing work. And even if it's just pretending like, oh, hey, my name is Louis. How are you? I was checking you out from across the room. You look beautiful. I'd like to take you out for lunch, for dinner, for whatever. And start all over. Start all over. If you're at that point, right, that you can't just regroup. You and I, we could just regroup, right? We could just regroup like, okay, I just need a minute. Let me walk away for a little while.
Or he'll come back and say things like, can we be friends again?
Yeah. Let's just pick up where we're at because we're not going anywhere.
I watched this video, but I know that it's a movie and I can't think of what it is. And it's I don't know. But anyways, it's about a husband and a wife, and the husband is seeing another woman. and he like tells her that he's going to leave her and all this other stuff. And she, obviously she takes it really hard, but she also had some information to share with her husband, but she didn't tell him in that moment. And anyways, I don't know if it's that she ended up telling him, but she wrote him a letter, and in the letter it was where he needed to carry her down the stairs every single day.
Mm.
And he didn't want to do it, but he did it like reluctantly. But long story short, she ended up having cancer, and I think she ended up like dying of cancer, but inevitably,
This is a movie?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like I've heard of this before.
Yeah, but during the time of him just carrying her with no words. So she knew what was going on in his life. He read this letter and did it reluctantly, but as he was picking her up and carrying her down the stairs every single day, slowly and slowly he started falling back in love with her, And I just think that that's how we need to look at things, that yeah, you may be in this place right now, but think of something that you can do to slowly bring yourself back to center. I mean, you had mentioned it earlier where, we have to remind ourselves why we fell in love in the first place.
Yeah.
Why we decided to say yes to each other in the first place. And when you're in the midst of the arguments, when you're in the midst of the storm, you really consciously have to think about those things so that you don't take yourself to this extreme place of, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's where, when we go back to the whole culture thing, that's what culture wants us to do. That's what the world wants us to do, is just be like, you know what? I'm throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Yeah. And so I love that, because what I'm thinking of proximity. He was close. Up to that point, they were probably
Across the table.
all the time.
Yeah.
And now, no words, just proximity.
Mm-hmm.
No words, just proximity. And he's just holding her, feeling her breath, smelling her, just all of these things. And then it just kind of clicked, right? Like, okay, this is a familiar, this is why we're here. And again, me, that's, Jesus says, you did not know me, which means you were never in my proximity. You didn't spend any time with me, right? Because when you do spend time with him, you get to know him, you get to feel him. And those of us that are believers know what I'm talking about. You get to feel him. And the more you feel him, the more you want to be in his proximity. And this is again why it says, love your wife the way Christ loved the church, because we want to be in the proximity of our wives. And the more we do that, the more we grow in love with each other. And so another reason why we've never, or at least very sparingly, have ever slept outside of our marriage bed. Maybe
And the only
once or
time, I mean, I
twice.
can say,
It's
yeah,
and it's falling asleep watching.
falling asleep on the couch,
Yeah.
or with Mochi. That happened the other day.
Yeah. So
I was like, did you even come downstairs to check on me? He's like, no.
I was out. I was asleep. I thought you were watching Once Upon a Time with Gianna. So
Yeah. Well, even getting back to that whole scenario, just witnessing a husband and a wife, growing close together without saying any words. I think, we talked about what it would be from his standpoint, being close to her proximity, smelling her. I think for her, and for what most women need, is emotional safety.
yeah, security.
We need to feel safe. We need to feel secure. And when our household is in shambles because of a wandering eye, or because we're married to our work, or, whatever, we have the love of money. When we don't feel safe in that environment, then of course there is a pull to try to grab and find that safety from somewhere. So, I think that it's good for every couple, even as we're talking about this topic, it's good for every couple to take an inventory. Where are you at right now in your marriage? Where are you at emotionally? Where are you at spiritually? Where are you at physically? Because all of those things play, a role in keeping this moving like a well-oiled machine. if you're not keeping up on your spiritual growth, not only as an individual, but together, that, again, could be a problem. Physical, you know, mental, emotional. Are these things all being cared for? I think maybe we should put an inventory sheet together and be able to provide that for people.
Yeah.
So you could take a tally and see where you're at. If you're checking off a whole bunch of ones,
Yeah.
then this is something that you need to certainly dig a little bit more into
Yeah.
in terms of what you're going to be talking about.
So I think that's a good idea. But in addition to that, babe, how about a bucket list?
Oh, I love our bucket lists.
How about a bucket list? If you don't have one, you need to have one because it gives you some insight. First, we use 10, 5, and 5, right? So that was kind of like the
I think
number.
we did 12 because we
12.
did it on our 11th wedding
Okay.
anniversary,
Okay.
and we did 12 just to make it even. So it was 6 and 6.
6 and 6. And that way too, you have goals that you are both shooting for together.
Yep.
And you get to, if nothing else, that could be something else to reignite when there's issues and things like this. Like, oh, you know what? Let's pull up some of our dreams that we've had dreamed together. And actually, even as we're sitting here, we I think it's been interesting lately, but we've been living out our dreams slowly but surely. Everything that we have put our minds to, put our hearts to, is really coming to pass. And God has been good. And again, it's because we were intentional about setting what we want for our future, but also respecting what our spouses want for the future as well, and making them equally important to make sure that each person has what they require to be fulfilled in this life. And so then I will be so bold as to ask, have I met your expectation of a husband who is makes you feel safe and secure and cherished?
Yes. You get a 5 out of 5.
You're gonna say a 5 out of 10?
No, no, because remember how we used to do at AT&T?
Oh yeah, it was a 10.
It was 1 out of 5. Yeah.
1 out of 5. Yeah.
5 being very sad. Can you give me a 5 being very satisfied? So I'm a 5 very satisfied.
Okay. Amen. All
I
right.
should ask you the same question.
You are a 6.
We said we were going to stop doing that.
Well, you did it anyways. All right. So in order to make sure that we are rebuilding the fire, making sure that the fire is burning, here are some. I'm going to shoot through these really quickly.
Do it.
All right. So first one is relearn each other. If you ever feel, it's always a good idea to just kind of sit down and do a quiz, right? Like, what's my favorite color?
Blue.
Very good. Very good.
It is?
Yeah. And yours is purple and black.
Specifically, he likes baby blue.
Baby blue. And I know
Where
I don't
have
wear
I
it.
been?
I don't, and because I don't wear it. I don't wear it.
I don't wear purple that much, but my whole life is purple.
So see, so that's what it is. I don't wear it, but I do like baby blue. I don't know why. I just do.
So relearn each other. Find something that you know about your wife. And you know what? I think it'd be kind of cool to even remind your spouse of something that you know that they felt like you forgot about.
Ooh, that's like a conundrum. What does that mean?
Well,
So-
like you looked very surprised that I remembered that your color
It
was baby blue.
There you go. Yeah.
So, so just like have conversations like that. Like, you remember, babe, when we went to that club that one day and you told me you wanted me to wear heels and I wore those really high yellow ones and thought I was going to die?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? You probably don't, but I do.
Okay.
That's a real story.
I do remember we were crossing Fullerton and Cicero and you almost fell. Was that the same day? Oh, okay.
No, that was the day I was wearing boots and I had this like weird feeling happen to my leg and I fell. That was so embarrassing, Gianna. You weren't even born yet.
Right. I would hope I wasn't born yet. Like,
Yeah.
That was really funny. So
So
yes.
yeah, relearn each other. Make sure that you're dating consistently. Dating consistently. You always make sure that there's emotional safety, so that there's always a safe place. So especially for us as men, we always want to fix things. We always want to jump in and give our insight. Let's go ahead and keep those insights to ourselves sometimes we have to wait for our spouse to say, "Are you gonna say anything?" And then at that point, then you speak. Because so often we just want to, oh yeah, but no, just shut up and listen. And then when your wife is ready, and wives, if you're listening, tell your husbands, wait, listen till I get done. So emotional safety. Hey, look, forgive, forgive quickly and often. Forgive quickly and often. Hey, look, the Bible is super clear about this. You have got to forgive quickly and often. And so if he's expecting you to forgive others, how much more is he expecting you to forgive your spouse? Um, if there's any betrayal, get seek guidance, and make sure that that thing is healed. And remember that the healing and the forgiveness is not on you if you were the one that caused the trauma. As long as it takes is as long as it takes.
What is
Um,
the what does the cure tell us about forgiveness and healing? What's your favorite part of the book?
my favorite part of the book is, well, well, I think it wasn't so much forgiveness. It was more, the part was when Jesus, when, remind me of this, the sentence now. What is
Yeah,
a sentence? Because it is a sentence. It's not so much that we are to fix ourselves, but that we. It's not so much that we are to fix ourselves, but that we allow.
that we live a life unhidden.
Right. We live a life without anything hidden,
Hmm.
right? But what I'm talking about forgiveness for infidelity and things like that. So
Right. And so the reason why I'm bringing that up is because oftentimes when it comes to forgiveness and healing from betrayal is that we don't talk about it.
yeah,
So we know that it's there, and I can count on hands the amount of times that we've talked and we sat with couples when it comes to, betrayal, and when it comes to not being able to forgive that one thing that happened 5, 10 years ago, is that you don't talk about it.
yeah,
So remember, we started to heal when you started to be honest about
yeah,
the actual betrayal.
yeah,
You started to put, words to it. You started to talk about it, where before it was just something hidden in a cloud in the distance. But once we started to uncover those things, and and I'm speaking to those that have been in the position of betrayal specifically. If you are on the other side of it, you have got to allow that person, the not, I don't want to call anybody a victim, but the one that caused the pain. You don't want to keep them in this place of hurt themselves, because I know for a long time I did that for him, and even when we got to a place of healing, he still didn't want to talk about it because he felt like it was hurting me, but it was probably because of the way that I would react to things. So when you come to the place of forgiveness and healing, you really have to have a mature conversation where we enter God into the conversation so that he can give you peace to receive whatever it is that's coming on the other end. Because if we're just looking at, if I was just looking at Lou in his mess and the way that he betrayed me, then I'm going to still stay hurt rather than seeing him as my husband, the person that loves me, the person that chose me and I chose him. There has to be a level of commitment
Amen.
and compassion that you have so that the words that are being exchanged are being received in a way of being able to help you move forward. The most hurtful things helped me move forward. And I don't think about those things anymore. I
yeah,
don't need to think about those things anymore. But that's a very important place to be, because if not, if we don't dive into those things, then we're going to continue to see ourselves growing farther and farther apart. Things that are not dealt with, things that are not, talked about, will just become, you know, um, a higher pile of mess under the rug that you keep sweeping it under.
yeah. I remember when I actually shared it in front of the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talked about it afterwards. Like, you finally put words to it,
Mm-hmm.
and so now we can move forward. So there are a few practical steps we want to encourage you, especially right now during this time of the Valentine season coming. And it and if you feel like the flame is not as potent as it should be, or
Yeah.
flamey as it should be,
Flamey.
I recommend that you schedule weekly connection time,
Yeah, that's good.
right? Let's take 30 minutes every other day. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Let's take 30 minutes and either play some games together or watch a show together, but just take some weekly connection time. And then there should be at least once a month where there's an intentional date night, at least once a month, an intentional date night. And I ask you men, I urge you men to be the ones to spearhead that thing. You're going to see if there's any dissension in the home, if you're the one who spearheads the date nights, you're going to see a shift in your home almost immediately. And then daily check-ins. There should be daily check-ins. How are you today, right? How are things going? Hey, I know I haven't been able to sit down and have, but how are you? Well, is there anything I need to know? Is there anything that I can do, right? So make sure that there's daily
Or even just
check-ins.
a cutesy text message or something,
Yeah,
like a heart emoji or, a kissy face emoji, like something that's going to prompt some type of reaction from you.
yeah. Um,
Why are you smirking?
you don't want me to share this. Anyways,
I think I know what you're talking about. Don't say it.
okay, so here you go. Spiritual habits together, I think, are incredibly important in this household, and we got to get better at it.
7:30.
We got to get better at it because last 2 or 3 days we've been sleeping late, but we're up. That's right, and me included. I'm not saying
I don't sleep late. I'm
okay.
up.
So then why don't you wake us up?
Seriously,
Well,
how come you don't turn the worship music on?
Yeah, and have all of our communion stuff ready to
Oh,
That's
go.
right. That's right.
well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Spiritual habits together. In this household, we 90% of the
Yes.
time, let's say that 90% of the time, we're up I'm up at 6:30. We're up at 7. At 7:30, worship is going on, communion is set out, and we pray and we read the Psalms, and we have already spiritual habits in place. And those things can happen even if you guys are at odds.
Mm-hmm.
Those things should be happening even if things are at odds. Um, Counseling is okay, family. There shouldn't be any shame in you getting counseling.
I cannot stand when people are like, I don't need that. Yes, you do.
There's no shame in getting counseling, again, individually and as couples, and then as
And
a
as a
family
family.
at one
Mhm.
point, right? We've done it, and so bless the Lord. Right now, we're not involved in it because we don't seem to need it. So bless the Lord, and I'm sure my wife will let me know if we need to bring anybody else into the picture. But right now, we're in a good place. But what we certainly have is people that hold us accountable.
Yeah.
There has to be an accountability structure. Somebody that every once in a while asks you, how are things going? Is there anything that we can pray
How's
for?
your marriage doing?
How's
How
your-
are you two doing? Like we had a couple here yesterday, and they're also like our business partners too. And right away we were getting into business, and Lou's like, oh well, how are you guys doing? Like that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is if you two are not, moving in the same direction, then the whole family suffers because of it. So
Yeah.
get good accountability people that are in your life that are gonna, hold your feet to the fire. You haven't had a date in 2 months. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's it. No excuses. You're going on a date night on Sunday.
Yeah. We'll watch the puppies or the kids or whatever. you
Yeah,
have.
whatever, what have you.
Yep.
So this was good. This was good. Last week we had a charge to our people, and we said we wanted you to pray together for 7 days straight. So this charge for this week, as we get into the Valentine's Day season, the season of love, is we want you within this week's time to go on one intentional date.
Amen.
Now, the intentional date doesn't mean that you have to go down to the Chop House downtown Chicago, which
We love.
we love. But this intentional date, we had one. Gianna was out with her friend. We had dinner, and Lou was like, "Hey, you wanna watch this movie?" And it was a pretty good movie, actually. And we watched the movie. I don't know if we had like a snack or something like that, but to me, that was intentional, because it's been very sporty around this house. So
Yeah, the Bears.
so for him to shut the TV off in that way and, set some time aside, it was nice. But one intentional date. Figure
One.
it out within the next 7 days, plan it out. You have time to do it and make it happen.
My brothers, you get extra point if you plan the whole thing out yourself. Watch and see.
Yeah. And tell us about it because we want to know. So we will catch you back here on episode 7. Thank you for joining us. We love y'all.
Peace.